Hey folks, it's Brown here at West Davidson Public Library, and I'm back again for yet another edition of West Davidson Public Library's Weird Theater. Today I'll be talking about the movie Raigo, King of the Sea Monsters. The original title in Japan was actually Raigo, the Deep Sea Monster versus the Battleship Yamato, and this was a 2005 Japanese kaiju movie. Now the word, well, it's not a word, but kaiju is a Japanese term for strange beast, and it is also a genre of Japanese movies that centers on giant monsters, usually fighting the local military or people or other monsters like themselves. And so you may have seen a movie like that before. The most famous franchise, of course, is Godzilla. If you've seen any of the Godzilla movies made in America or Japan, you've seen a kaiju movie. Some of you may have also seen the beloved franchise Gamera, which is probably the second most famous Japanese monster who starts with a G. Those are also a bunch of fun. And so when I saw that this was available on NC Live's Film on Demand, I decided I had to check this out because I'm a fan of that genre. This is actually a film that was directed, produced, and written by Shinpei Hayashiya, and it clocks in at about an hour and 20 minutes. And like I said, when I saw this, there were two reasons I wanted to watch it. One, I love any weird war movie, book, or comic. If you take a military history setting and throw in a little bit of science fiction, horror, or the supernatural, or the supernatural, I will probably want to see it. It's one of my favorite subgenres out there of genre fiction. And I also really love a good kaiju movie. It's also fair to say that I love a really bad kaiju movie. And this was most definitely a really, really, really bad kaiju movie. And having said that, I had a blast watching it. The premise is actually pretty cool. During World War II, the infamous battleship Yamato, or I suppose if you're Japanese, the famous battleship Yamato, encounters a giant sea monster, the legendary sea dragon Raigo, King of the Sea Monsters. And they're actually warned about the danger of the monster early on in the film. The comic relief character is told by an old fisherman about Raigo. Unfortunately, he doesn't believe any of it, so he doesn't pass it on until the attacks have already started. And what happens is the Yamato spots Raigo's child off in the distance and thinks that it's an enemy ship, and they shoot and kill the poor young sea monster. And this begins a series of attacks by Raigo as it tries to get its revenge on the Yamato. This leads to all sorts of fun stuff, like attacks by a predatory flying fish school of those that a school of predatory flying fish that surround Raigo as it goes through the ocean. Those attack the ship. Raigo begins targeting the little, well, I guess little by comparison to the Yamato. Starts attacking destroyers and other ships that are escorting the battleship Yamato, destroying them one by one, and then begins attacking the ship itself. And there's also the whole plot from there on is the crews of the ships are trying to find some edge to defeat this seemingly indestructible sea monster as it continues to destroy parts of their fleet and threaten the Yamato. Now, as cool as that premise is, this was not a very good movie. The acting is, fair to good. That's not the problem. The problem is it has some pretty dreadful production values. The CGI is really, really bad. And I don't mind bad special effects sometimes, and there's older movies that have, the special effects they had at their time. But this is a 2005 film, and the CGI reminds you of like the worst end of the Sci-Fi Channel movies and other straight-to-video stuff you'll see. All the external shots of the ships, all the underwater shots, all the battle scenes are all in CGI, and they look pretty uniformly terrible. That is just unfortunately how it is. Now, Raigo itself seems to have actually been a model. They show the model during the credits, and it's a pretty cool design. But the problem is you have this monster that looks like kind of a hybrid between Godzilla and the Loch Ness Monster. And as it starts battling the Yamato and its ships, it starts making straight-up Free Willy style leaps and flips through the air, and it looks so gloriously bad. They were cracking me up every time that happened. That's one thing about it. Like I said, that's one thing that makes it not a great movie. The other thing that's an issue with this movie, which I wouldn't say is really a downside production production-wise per se, but it's definitely best described as problematic. There's a subplot throughout the movie where the comic relief character is given an American POW buddy, and they have a bunch of scenes together that are meant to be humorous, and they can come off as a little cringy to a Western audience. So there's that as well, and that's something I'll address too when I talk about some of the warnings I have about the movie. But having said that, like I said, I really enjoyed watching it. It was a train wreck of a movie, and it was only an hour and 20 minutes long, and I was just kind of laughing my way through all the really bad special effects shots and the battles. And if you like watching bad movies, you'll probably have a really great time. You'll probably love it too. Having said that, there's a couple of warnings I have about it. It's actually fairly gory in parts. It's not really appropriate for younger audiences. I would say older teens and adults only, because it gets a little gruesome in a couple of scenes. There's also, for some people, like I said above, there's the whole comedy subplot, which could be something that you would not particularly enjoy. And there's also the matter that for some audiences, the heroes of this picture are the World War II era Imperial Japanese Navy that was part of the Axis that we fought in World War II. That may be an issue for some viewers, and if it is, you might not enjoy this and might not want to watch it. But if none of that stuff puts you off, the goriness, the admittedly terrible special effects, which are part of the reason to watch it, most of the reason to watch it, in my opinion, and if you can handle the Japanese as the heroes, which I didn't have a problem with. I mean, it's a Japanese movie. So naturally, they were the heroes in this World War II setback. If you can handle all that, it's really great. Great in entertainment value, if not great in actual quality. And the one thing I'll say, if you decide you're going to watch it, look forward to the movie ending with a kabuki dance segment. And you heard that right. There's a kabuki denouement that ends the picture, and that's half the reason I love this film. If you've decided you want to watch it based off of what I've just told you, all these caveats and all these problems with their production value, etc., check it out. You can find it on NC Live's Films on Demand. You'll find it under Raigo, King of the Sea Monsters, not the Japanese title. If you just type in REIGO, Raigo, you'll find it. Check it out. Let us know in the comments below if you enjoyed it as much as I did, and if you didn't, or if you have any other comments about it, just let us know what you thought about it. And once again, I want to thank you for watching another edition of West Davidson Public Library's Weird Theater.